Thank you very much. I'm actually, like she said, my name is De-Graft Affail from, I'm coming from Europe right now, but originally I was born and bred in Ghana, which is an African country. So, first of all, I'd like to apologize for my strong accent, you know, yeah. And also, English is obviously not our first language. We learned English. So, also forgive me if I make some error in my grammatical construct, but I'll do my best to, present the best way as I could. So, without further more ado, I'd like to jump into what I'm going to present today: teaching Python programming in West African schools. Well, as a student who has been able to study my first degree in Ghana and also having the opportunity to go to abroad, particularly in Czech Republic to do my master's, I've quite come to understand why most of the students from Africa uh, go to abroad to pursue their masters fail, especially in the informatics system. Most of the students from Africa, or basically the educational curriculum in Africa, is mostly theoretical oriented. Um, I could say that it is hugely deficited when we come to practical training. The things that we are taught in Africa, the things that we are taught in West Africa is basically they give you a book, you read, you go to the exams, you pass, and that's it. They don't actually give us any practical training, or they don't actually, teach student staff to be able to be better people when they graduate. But when you go to other parts of the world, like Europe, their educational curriculum is mostly centered on practical aspects. They teach students to understand stuff. It's not about you passing the exams, but it's about the fact that you get the knowledge required to be able to produce something, to be able to, understand what you will be able to do when you get to the real world. So, like, when someone from Africa who got his education in that style, in that theoretical form, you take that person and you put him into Europe where the education system is mostly practical forms, they tend to fail. I have a whole lot of friends that I believe that they were very good when we were in Africa, when we were doing our master's degree, but most of them came to Europe, America, and then they dropped out. You ask them, they say, no, it's difficult, they can't. And when I came to understand why. Because the kind of training that we get in Africa is very different and lacks when you compare it to what the kind of training that they are giving to people in Europe and other parts of the country. Personally, I would like to say something about me. Like I said, I was born and bred in Ghana, which is West African country. I did all my education in Ghana. I just came to Europe last 2 years to do my masters. When I was in my senior high school, the best education that we could get closer to teaching us computer was what is a computer? What are the hardware parts of a computer? I mean, this is something that is being taught to 17, 18-year-old people in Ghana, West Africa. Okay, and as it sounds, it is still going on right now. At this moment that you say we are in the Gen Z era, at this moment that we say that we are in the technological era, you go to Africa and in high schools, students are being taught what is a computer, what are the parts of a computer. And when you go to the universities, our educational system is such a way that there is this adage that we talk in Africa: you chew and you pour. A lecturer will come, prepare his slides, write some codes, like let's say 3 or 4 codes, and then he'll give to the students. And then what the students have to do is that you have to chew the codes. When you get to the exams hall, one of the code will come, and then if you're able to recall what you should, then you've passed. If you don't recall, then you fail. I mean, this is not training. This is not learning. This is memorizing. Like, you just go somewhere, you chew what they've given to you, go and you pour, and then that's it. So, like, because of that, it makes it very difficult for people who wants to get training, who want to know what it is and how they can able to impact the society when they go out. So for somebody like me who has been able to have good taste studying in Ghana, West Africa, and also studying in Europe, it has triggered my concern to talk about how best we can curb that situation, how best students from Africa can able to thrive when they go to the European society to to study, like at least to better something, to be able to, like, for students to be able to be successful. Um, I would like to talk about some of the important things that, let's say, if we were able to implement the teaching of programming into the West African educational curriculum, some of the benefits that the economy of West Africa, or most of the countries in West Africa, can get if we are successfully going to implement programming into the West African educational curriculum. First of all, it will be innovation drivers. So, like I say, Africa has a lot of problems, a whole lot of problems. And if you are able to produce students, or if you are able to produce pupils who can come out, write some codes to, to be able to solve certain eminent problems. Let me talk about this rampant civil wars that is going on in Africa. This is a very sensitive topic, but I would like to talk about it. This rampant civil war mostly emanates from elections, ballot boxes. Probably they will go and do an election, and then some muscled guy, two muscled guys somewhere will come, and then they'll come and pick up the ballot boxes, and then confusion starts from there. The city is fighting before you realize the whole country is fighting. Now, if you are able to produce students who can be able to how do I put it, who can be able to work out or create particular software that will make people vote electronically. Probably there will be a system where people can queue and go and vote electronically, and then it will just be in the system. No one can come and pick it up, or no one can come and pick up a ballot box, and there wouldn't be any fights going on. So, like, when this is done, it's also try to reduce the rampant ways of how civil wars are being created in in countries in West Africa. And also critical thinking. I believe that critical think anyone who is very good in programming is a critical thinker. Like, s- someone who can just sit down, write some codes, and develop some particular softwares is someone who is very good when it comes to thinking. It's a critical thinker. Like I keep on saying, Africa has a whole lot of problems, not problems relating to how we are very late, or how we are not there when it comes to informatics, but problems in other fields, many fields. So someone who is a critical thinker can also help, the certain problems that we have in other fields, not relating to even not informatics, but also other fields. And this can help the economy of Africa to, to be on the rise. And thirdly, is the job market. Um, it is not uh, we can't debunk the fact that Africa has a very staggering high unemployment rate, and the graduate unemployment keeps on rising day by day. But in this time of era, we know that every company, or every organization that is being established has an IT department. Um, like when we go to the finance sector, companies there will require some IT personnel to, like, to keep their data and their things safe. So when we are able to produce students who have the programming skills, who are computer literate, these people can be easily marketable. These people can get jobs anywhere, whether domestic or foreign, and this will bring down the unemployment rate in Africa, or basically the western part of Africa. So, why Python? Why should we choose Python to implement this strategy? Like, among all the programming languages, why basically Python? You are talking about Africa, where uh, IT is not that mature there. So when you introduce a programming language that's is very difficult, that it's very complex, students will be deterred from learning the programming language. So I believe that Python is very beginner friendly. I believe that it has less complex syntaxes, And also, it is very clear and it is easily understandable for people to start using, people who are um, now coming to learn programming, to start using that particular programming language, and it will be easy for them to understand more than other programming language. And also, Python is very interactive and dynamic. I mean, we are talking about Python, you can just put something there. You don't have to specify that it's a word or it's a number. You just put it there, and then the Python will, figure it out itself, whether it's a word or it's a number. It makes it very interesting. It makes it very less difficult for people who is trying to study programming language, steady. And also for educational focuses, I believe that Python is easily taught based on how uh, easily or based on how less difficult its syntaxes are. If you are teaching a programming language, Python will be the ideal one to teach because it's easily taught to students, and students will tend to understand it more better. So I'd like to talk about some of the challenges that West African education faces if we are going to implement the teaching of programming language into our educational curriculum. Undoubtedly, most of the countries in West Africa are being considered as developing countries. So basically, we are trying to say that these countries are not developed. So such countries, they do not have the infrastructure, sorry, they do not have computer labs. In Ghana, it's only private universities that has been established by foreigners who have computer labs in senior high schools. Most of the public schools, it's not that even most of all of the public schools do not have infrastructures. They don't have computers. I can't remember the sitting president right now when he was coming in. Some of the promises that he made was that when he come in, he is going to make sure that every student, every senior high school student gets a laptop. It's been 4 years down the line. If he's going to give to them today, I don't know. But I mean, this is something that is there. And also, when you talk about internet, the way internet is very rampant in other parts of the world, in Europe and here, it is not like that in Africa. I mean, Africa is only in the cities and some parts of cities that you be able to get internet. And even if you get internet, it is very expensive. People spend more on internet than what they spend on their food and clothing. So it's very, like it's not internet is not easily accessible as compared to other countries. So it will make it difficult if you are going to teach students how to program. If you are going to use internet resources to teach students how to program. And also student preparedness. I believe that programming has two sides, the logical side and then the coding side. The logical side, we are talking about how good you are in mathematics. I always say that a person who is very good in mathematics, real analysis, is the person that can easily succeed in programming. Most of the students in Africa, most of the students in like West Africa are not good when it comes to mathematics. Like they like we have three major courses that's three core subjects that we talk about: math, English, and general science. Mathematics is the one that most of the students fail. So like if a student is going to learn how to program and then that person lacks the basic concept of mathematics, he is not going to be willing or he's not going to be prepared to start or to love the or to embrace the idea of learning programming. And see, these are some of the things that will be difficult when it comes to us trying to implement programming courses into our educational structure in West Africa. Okay, so strategies of effective teaching. I mean, what can we do? What can we do to be able to um, make this thing happen? What can we do to be able to inculcate programming courses into the West African educational curriculum? There is this thing that we say that use what you have to get what you want. I mean, what does Africa has that we can use to be to can use or it can help us to be able to inculcate programming courses into our educational curriculum. Obviously, Africa, we don't have the infrastructures. I mean, I would love to come here and talk about some models, talk about some practical ways that, or talk about how we are going to develop a particular software that students can use to learn about how they're going to program. Students can program and stuff like that. But it wouldn't be real. I would be lying because we do not have the infrastructure. Students don't have computers. Like we don't have internet. It is fact. So what can we do? What can we do? Well, yeah, of course. So what can we do to at least better the situation? Teach students how to program. Like I said, use what we have to get what we want. We have an educational curriculum that is theoretically based. I mean, that is how it is in Africa, in West Africa. They give you a book for you to study, and then you learn how it's done and stuff like that. That is it. That is the best thing that we can do. So, from my idea, I believe that we can introduce a common textbook on programming. We have books that are being used in West Africa. Like I said, English is not our first language, so we have books on English that is commonly accepted. Books in English, books in mathematics, and books in integrated science. These are called the core subjects. These are being studied anywhere, and then they have an agreed book that is being used by all the senior high schools in West Africa. So I'm thinking that right now that we are in this generation, information era, computer stage, why don't you also make learning of programming also become a core subject? And I think that would be a better way for students from West Africa to better improve their programming skills, for them to, so that when they go to the other parts of the world, they can able to excel. If you are able to introduce such courses and make it a core subject, it is really going to help us a lot. It is really going to go a long way for students to come, who will come from Africa to study, to to be able to at least get what is going on when they get to Africa. So the educational system in senior high school is in three forms. We have Form 1, Form 2, and then Form 3. In Form 1, students are taught introductory staffs, and in Form 2, students are taught intermediate staffs, and in Form 3, students are taught technical, probably difficult staffs. So what I was suggesting, or what I was saying, like what I would like to suggest, is that this book that this common textbook that we are going to introduce probably would we have three types of book. One will be for Form 1s, one will be for Form 2s, and also another one will be for Form 3s. And for Form 1s, topic that will be learned in the Form 1s is basically introductory stuffs to Python. Example, like history and importance of Python, setting up how to set up a Python environment, basic programming syntax. That would be for Form 1, and Form 2, intermediate topics like Python syntaxes, variables, data types. We talk about how to input and output, and also we talk about conditional statement. When it comes to Form 3, we make things a little bit difficult, a little like we make things a little bit advanced, talking about data structures, talking about advanced programming concepts, tuples and dictionaries and stuff like that. And when this is done, I believe that it will go a long way to help students in West Africa. And also, coupled with programs that I think will also help students, when they are trying to implement the programming, or when they are trying to implement programming courses in West Africa. Some of the programs that I've talked about is practical showcase. I mean, we all know that we don't have infrastructures. There are not more infrastructure, but at least we can bring together like 3 or 4 laptops in a secondary school, and then the students from Form 3 will come and showcase something that they've learned, like just to write a code, probably a code that is going to grade students based on their marks. It's not going to be a test, but something that is basically fun, like something that would be fun. And this thing can be done like twice every term. And students from Form 3 will, come to do something like this, basically for them to show that they've actually learned something. It's going to be a play. They can do it they can do it every semester. They can do it twice. And also conferences. um right now we know that the IT people are the ones that are very rich. We talk about Bill Gates, we talk about Elon Musk. I mean, everybody wants to be rich. Even when a kid is growing up, everybody wants to be rich. So when you organize conferences and iterate into their head, we talk to them that, hey, look, if you're able to learn good programming skills, if you have good programming skills, if you're able to code, look at Elon Musk, look at Bill Gates, you'll be a rich person. This will, you know, motivate them. Obviously, this will motivate them to, get involved into programming. I mean, everybody wants to be rich. So if the person look at Bill Gates, look at Elon Musk, and see that, yeah, these are the people that are, that are really getting big money. Why don't I also try to start from this early age and also get to that path? So this will serve as a kind of motivation for them to study the programming stuff like that. And also talking about teachers, we do not have enough human resources to teach programming. In Africa or in West Africa, probably I can talk about Ghana. For someone to become a teacher, that person has to have a degree in education, and that is it for the person. You don't even have to be in a field, or you don't even have to have a practical, experience, or practical skills. All you have to do is go to school, get a degree in education, and then that's it. So basically, if we want to better the situation, we can organize a special training for teachers, implement comprehensive Python training programs specifically for educators, which will help them increase their skills in Python, and also they will be able to impact or transfer such knowledge to students. And also, we can talk about professional development. We will provide ongoing professional development opportunities to keep teachers updated on technological advancements. And the third one is curriculum resources. What we can do is also we can offer access to high quality teaching resources, including textbooks and online tutorials. Now, bridging the gap, I believe that when we are able to do all these things, like when this thing is being made manifest, we will provide or we will be able to produce students who can help us to get a better future for Africa. Like I said earlier on, most of the problems in Africa can be solved through some particular development of applications and whatnot. So if you are able to provide people who are innovators, people who are critical thinkers, the future of Africa will be great, will be okay. And then I think Africa will be a good place to be. And also, it is going to drive innovations and growth. There are going to be a whole lot of investment if things are good in Africa. They are good. People are coming will be welcomed into the African markets. There are going to be a whole lot of job creations, and it's going to be a very good status for Africa. And this brings me to the end of my presentation. And any questions? I can take any question, even anything that you heard from Africa. I can, if you like to ask, I can ask. Um,
Thank you so much, De-Graft. Sorry, I dropped the ball on being ready for questions there. Okay, we've got a few hands up. You ready? Yeet.
Hopefully not in the moment. Thank you so much for the talk. So what can we do? What can we do to help?
come again.
What can we do to help? So what can we do here?
What can you do to help? Actually, that is actually a good question. We we've heard back in Africa. We heard about foundations and NGOs that sometimes try to establish computer labs. I mean, we have when you go to Africa, I'm sorry to say this, but these are things that are true. You go to Africa, you see students that are studying under mango trees and stuff like that, and this is it's very bad. So mostly there are NGOs and stuff like that from other countries that will come and then establish a school and stuff like that. But it is not enough. A lot of students are not able to go to school. A lot of students lacks many basic necessities and stuff like that. So in terms of programming, probably an organization can establish some particular computer labs in not all of the public schools, but some of the major public schools, and also probably can also in a form of a reward can also give some best students in some particular public schools some laptops and stuffs and trainings like that. And I think that will be a good thing. Yeah.
I think I saw another hand go up. Yep, up there on the 5th row. Good throw.
So you were saying, use what you've got to get what you want.
Yeah.
One thing I think people have is smartphones. Like, people have more smartphones there than computers. Is that right?
Yeah, of course. Actually, when you go to with senior high school students, they don't actually have smartphones like that.
Okay.
And even if they do, they can't afford data,
Yeah.
internet.
Yeah.
Okay. And most of the schools in you see, most of the schools in the rural areas, they don't even have network to call. So why would they even have a smartphone?
Fair enough. Yeah. I was just wondering if programming on a phone.
I'm going to ask you to keep this to questions rather than comments.
What you're saying, it will be very good, but like I said, we don't have the infrastructures. Like most of the students do not have this smartphone that you're talking about.
All right. Any more questions? There's a few hands.
Hello. I wanted to ask, you spoke about building common textbooks to teach programming.
Yeah.
I wanted to know whether these textbooks are in English or the native language of these West African countries.
If it was going to be in the native language, it would have really been better. I'm telling you, it would have really gone a long way. But unfortunately, I think it's not feasible. It's not going to happen. The best case scenario you can have is having it in English. Okay, because even students are using mathematical textbooks that are English and they are suffering. But most students, when they are being taught in their own language, they tend to explore. But like I'm saying, it would be a great idea for it to be in our native language, like the Chi and then the Akan language, but it's not going to be possible. Yeah.
Cool. We'll go to the person next to you and then down to here after that.
I know in the past there's been initiatives like the one laptop per child non-profit.
Can you?
Oh, is that better? I know that in the past there's been initiatives like the one laptop per child initiative, which from my understanding kind of fell over partially because of the lack of cultural relevance of the technology because of the lack in the communities. Yeah, I guess my question is like what ways could we overcome that?
Can you repeat your question? I think you're very fast with your answer.
Effectively, we can write programs to do things, but unless there's cultural relevance in the community for why we would want to do that, it's very hard to be motivated, I think. And so the question is, without that cultural relevance in the community, or how do we build that cultural relevance in the community so that people are interested in pursuing?
I'm finding it really difficult to hear you. Actually, like, I don't know if someone can. Yeah.
If we're struggling with this one, we can maybe take it into the hallway and go to the next person. Yeah, I think it was down here next. Hey, what a good catch.
All right. I think the person upstairs was asking about how to change the cultural relevance for programming in Africa. I don't know if you want to speak to that or take that one to the hall. My question was, I know that there are people and organizations in Ghana working on Python. They're holding 2 conferences there this fall.
Yeah, Python in whole,
So I was wondering, because I think that sometimes when from the other side of the earth, we send something over, it's not really what is needed. But I'm wondering if you have ideas on how to better support the organizations that are already doing Python in Ghana, or if that's something that you could speak to.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I think the last PyCon Ghana that they did was like last 2 or 3 years, as compared to, in Europe they do PyCon conferences every particular year. Um, Even though people are there, people are willing to help, but I mean, how many are them? And like, what kind of power can they wield? I mean, we're talking about students from senior high school who are students from university who are good in programming, but they themselves are even suffering to get a job. You understand? They themselves are even struggling to thrive, and they know programming, all right. But trust me, when they come to Europe, you see that they, their education is quite different. I quite remember the best students in University of Cape Coast. When I came in my first year, they gave us an assignment, and I gave it to this student. He was really good in Python, but trust me, he got zero. He got zero. So I mean, I understand what you are saying, but there aren't many people that can able to help realistically. And even if they are, these are also students that they are also struggling. So, a help from outside. I mean, most of the developing countries have always depend on outside, funds and stuff like that. So it will be very similar to this instance.
Yeah, I get it, and I feel like the room is asking to solve this today, so we can send you home in like 20 minutes, and that may not be the case. And so I just want to, I feel the desire, so I wanted to just share that. Is there another hand?
Amazing. I have a question about, so you said one motivation is for the students to want to become rich
Yeah, of course.
from programming. But what are the opportunities for students who are fortunate now to study programming in Ghana? What are the opportunities for them? What do they do after school right now?
Like I'm saying, there is not enough. I'm trying to be realistic here. There is not enough opportunities that are given to African students as compared to other parts of the students, other parts of students studying in Europe or Asia or here. Um, Most of the students, they graduate with first class, second class, and they don't have a job. Why? Because they don't have the practical knowledge. What they did was just chew and pour. Understand? And even some of the good students, I know people who graduated with first class. I know people who graduated with second class. They are unemployed for like 2, 3, 4 years. They are still looking for jobs. Okay, so the opportunities in Africa is very slim as compared to the opportunities in Europe. So, like I keep on saying, someone who is very good in programming can actually start to do something on its own. Most of the people that I know, they start to build websites, be doing freelance and stuff like that. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's not a permanent job. You understand? So basically, it doesn't go anywhere. So knowing programming in like you graduated from a university in Ghana, you know programming, but at the end of the day, you're not going to get any good opportunities like that. You understand? But then if you have the idea that you are going to get rich, that idea will push you to or will motivate you to always keep on doing. And at the end of the day, I know people who they were in Ghana, but they had probably some experience in coding. They applied in LinkedIn and got a job in America, and now they are getting paid 5 figures a year. Okay, so those things are there. Those things happen. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
We've got a question down here. So close.
Hi, thank you for your talk. I just wanted to know, you were saying that teach Python as a separate subject. Is there an idea of actually teaching Python co-curricular, so with science, with maths, with English? Wouldn't that be better? I know it's probably more pen and paper coding at the moment
Okay.
because there's not enough computers.
Yeah.
But wouldn't that be a way to just get them started?
Can you be clear with your question, please?
Okay, so you know how you got science, maths, and English?
Science, maths, and English. These are the core
Yes,
subjects.
and then you wanted to have
Yeah,
programming.
program. Yes, of
So
course.
can't you teach programming inside those other subjects? So help them learn maths with programming?
No, I don't think so because programming itself is actually a heavy thing. When you try to implement or inculcate programming into probably English, I mean, students are already, or let's say, inculcate programming into mathematics. Students are already suffering in maths. So when you combine these two, it becomes very difficult for them to study. I don't know if I'm answering your question
Yeah,
correctly.
it's not about studying, it's about understanding.
Yeah, yeah.
That's fine, I'll find you.
I'm gonna let's pass to the next question, which is behind you.
Hey, thank you. You mentioned that translations would be useful into local languages.
Yeah, of course.
I know there are groups that work on such things.
Yeah,
such
of
as-
course, of course. There are some groups that have been able to develop some games.
Cool.
Yeah, of course.
Do you know if anyone is working on coordinated translations for, say, Python tutorials?
No,
Okay.
no. I don't think we have anything as at now that I speak. No, but I know a certain group who has been able to develop a game that uses our forefathers as heroes, and then speaks the Twi language. But the funny thing is that people don't actually patronize the game. They would like to play FIFA and stuff like that, But yes, of course, I know something like that. Yeah, but now we don't have anyone that is trying to translate, the studying of Python into local languages and stuff like that. It's nothing like that now. Yeah.
Thank
All
you.
right. Do we have any? There's one more down the front. See if you can make that throw. Hey!
With I'm gonna move.
You might just have to step up and away from the. Yep. Perfect.
You're talking a lot about a big focus with teaching things specifically like Python, and you've got the constraints where you don't have devices, so you can't program on it. Has there been any thought about things like teaching it without a focus on a programming language, for example, like teaching your concepts, like this is a binary, this is how you do your algorithms. Like, how would that kind of approach work? Instead of focusing on specific languages, for example?
I like, if I'm able to understand your question correctly, I mean, when I was studying my first degree in the University of Cape Coast, Ghana, like, we are being made to code on paper. You understand? Like I said, I keep on saying we don't have the facilities. So what we do with that? We have tests. I failed to mention this. When I was studying in Europe, when I'm still studying in Europe, they give us assignments. They have a big computer lab. When I came to study in Europe, I didn't bring a laptop, so it was the computer lab that I was using. They give us assignment, basically every time assignments, and then we go to do. But in Ghana, they don't give assignments. The lecturers know that they don't have the infrastructure, so they give tests, and in that test, you write a code on paper, and that is what everybody has been doing. That's what we've all been doing up to now. You'll be given a pen and paper, and then you write a code on it. So that is basically how it is there. Yeah. Right.
Okay, we are going to wrap up now. So in here, in about 20 minutes at past, we have lightning talks. Do we want lightning talk presenters at the front row? Yeah. If you are presenting lightning talks, make sure you're in the front row. Enjoy the next 20 minutes, and we'll see you soon. But before we go,
Thank you very much.